Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jabba, sweet and hot. Whoop, Mr. Motorama, coffee and spot.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
Welcome, everybody, to Fueled by Deathcast. It is episode 102, and I think we're pretty excited about this one. This one kind of just fell
It's
together.
Bill Burr.
It's Bill Burr. We're very excited about this one. So glad you guys could all join us again for another exciting episode of Fueled by Deathcast. As always, I am the incredible Jeff.
And I am the amazing D-Man.
And if you guys want to follow us on social media, it's really easy to do. Both Dustin and myself are very big fans of Instagram, Facebook and Twitter a little bit, but Instagram's where you can find us. I am at Jeff Wish Coffee.
And I am at Death Wish Dustin.
And please, like we say every week, take a second out of your day to accost a stranger and ask them to follow at Real Christian Slater over on Instagram or at Christian Slater on any of his other social platforms.
Or just accost a stranger.
Just accost a stranger.
You got to yell Death Wish the whole time, though.
Oh, man. No wonder our lawyers hate this show. You know we're kidding. You know we're kidding. But we do love Christian Slater. And we also love our good friend Brock Powell.
BrockVox.com.
He's the voice actor on this show and 1,000 voices out there in the world. Go check him out on social media. Brock Vox across all platforms. He's doing some really cool stuff, including he is now Santa Claus.
Yes.
It's
yes.
pretty...
No, the real Santa Claus, not acting.
Yeah, literally like the movie with Tim Allen where he became Santa Claus. Well, Brock has now killed Tim Allen.
And Kurt Russell.
And Kurt Russell. And Brock is now Santa Claus. So congrats to Brock on his promotion. We just got through a holiday season, not only one of the biggest shopping weekends of the year, but also one of the biggest eating days of the year. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I had like 3 of them.
I had 3 Thanksgivings.
Yeah, because there was one here.
Oh, right. We had Friendsgiving here. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was good. And I've been double plating it, 2 whole plates, boom,
Yeah.
and then dessert.
Yeah.
I've been going deep.
I think I said it on last week's show, but I'm all about the sides. I mean, turkey's delicious, and I definitely enjoyed eating the turkey that I had at my multiple Thanksgivings as well, but those sides, man.
I totally disagree. I think the turkey is the best part. If Thanksgiving was just straight turkey, I'd still be 100% about it.
Together, we make the best Thanksgiving dinner. You love the turkey, I love the sides. We are Thanksgiving dinner.
Or we're the best at eating Thanksgiving dinner.
That's true. That's true. And I wanted to remind you guys, if first of all, if you're just listening to this show on your favorite podcast app, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Music, iHeartRadio, or any of those, we are also in full video format. You can check out every single Fueled by Deathcast and our weekly companion show over on the Death Wish Coffee Company YouTube page and also on our Facebook page. And starting last week, and now forever we're going to do this, we're putting out 2 mini episodes on the podcast network a week. So if you are just listening to this, every single Thursday we come out with another awesome special guest and ask them what fuels you and have a good time.
This week it's Bill Burr.
This week it's Bill Burr. And
today, right now, in like a few minutes, it's going to be us talking to Bill Burr.
Well, every Sunday, you guys can tune in for our mini episode on science, which replays the science segment from the live show on Wednesday. And then every Tuesday, you can tune in to our mini episode of The Roast, which replays the roast every single week, and where we roast a topic that might grind our gears or something that we find funny. This week, we actually roast some of the upcoming Christmas holiday movies that are
I can't believe how many piles of shitty Christmas movies there are out there. It's breathtaking.
So again, if you do enjoy listening to this podcast as well as other podcasts on any podcast app, you'll be able to find those mini episodes on Sunday and Tuesday, as well as the main episode on Thursday, all moving forward.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
Are you in need of a CHEMEX bundle? Do you wish it was 15% cheaper? Did you wish that you had a discount code like Burr? Jeff, spell it.
BURR.
Do you wish that you had a discount code that would nail you 15% off of that CHEMEX bundle? But well, you do. Until Wednesday, December 5th, you can use the discount code Burr at deathwishcoffee.com, and you can get 15% off of that awesome CHEMEX bundle. We just made your day.
Our new teleprompter's working great. You're reading that one. We don't have a teleprompter. Yeah, no, that's great though. We've been, throwing a ton of deals out there over the holiday season and Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff. And one of the things I didn't think get enough love was our CHEMEX bundle, which is awesome. We got that brand new cork coaster in there, and it gives you everything you need. All you got to do is add hot water. That's it, and you have delicious CHEMEX coffee and 15% off all week using the discount code Burr. And D-Man, why is the discount code Burr?
Because we have Bill Burr on today.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We sit down and we talk about the upcoming F is for Family, which comes out Friday
November 30th. Oh, my gosh. I absolutely fell in love with that show. It was a little hard in the first couple, like any show, I think. First couple episodes of the first season, I think everybody was kind of feeling out their characters, and the writers were feeling out where the show was going.
And you're kind of feeling out the show, being like, what am I really watching here? But, dude, as soon as you get into it, you realize that it's an incredible show. I really have no problem telling people that. If you like funny animated shit, this is where you want to go on Netflix.
And it's Netflix original, and the cast is incredible. Bill Burr, Laura Dern, Sam Rockwell, it goes on. And like you said, we talk about that with Bill. We talk about comedy. We have a mutual friend, Dave Kushner, who will be appearing on this show a little bit later as well. But
next week.
But we do have Dave. We do have Dave and Bill kind of telling the same story, this incredible story about rock and roll. And you guys got to check that out. And it was really, really cool to be able to talk to somebody as legendary as Bill Burr in the comedy industry
and the podcast industry.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So sit tight, guys. Mugs up this week for this week's death guest. There he is, Mr. Bill Burr.
Enjoy.
The Fueled by Death guest.
Let's start off with what's coming out. We got F is for Family, the new season 3, coming out. Actually, the day after this is going to premiere on November 30th. And I wanted to ask you, how did the show come to be? Did you start out like, I wanted to do an animated television show, or was that kind of idea coalesced as you were writing it? Like, where did the idea come from?
It started off when I was a young comic. I would tell family stories on stage, and everyone would laugh, and no one questioned anything. They were just considered family stories. And then when I became a middle-aged and now old comic, everything got labeled as, domestic abuse, mental abuse, bullying. I don't know. Somewhere in there's gender-neutral bathrooms or something. Oh, that whole thing came out.
Right.
So then people would listen to them with this new sort of, I don't know what, social conscience. So it's not like they would groan. It's they stopped laughing, and then they just kind of went like, "Aw." They just started feeling bad for me, which is probably the worst noise you could ever hear as a comedian. You don't want to laugh or have some sort of "you suck" reaction, rather than just pity is really bad. So I just would be standing on stage. I just got frustrated after a while. Because then after the show, all these people come up and say, hey, my parents were just like that. And they'd be young kids. And it's like, well, why didn't you fucking laugh? Why are you sitting there like you're watching a puppy struggling to get into its bed and it can't quite make it? Because that was the noise they were making. So I just stopped telling them. And I don't know. I was just going, well, there's got to be a way to do it. One day I was walking my dog, and it just hit me. I go, well, why don't I just animate them? Make little 5-minute vignettes. I'll put them up on my website, and I can get these stories out. Because, I still am a huge fan of South Park, and I knew anything that I was going to do was going to be well short of the craziness that they're doing, So why don't I do that? And then because I'm a stand-up comedian, I never did it. So I ended up meeting, I was opening for Steve Byrne, who was friends with Vince Vaughn. Vince was in the crowd. He's got a production company. They took a meeting. And I was like, I don't have any TV shows to develop. Every time I develop a show, it never gets picked up. The whole thing gets deballed, because all they want is to have the big, stupid guy married to the impossibly hot chick who's smarter than him. They're just doing honeymooners over and over and over and over and over again. and my shit would never get picked up. And then I'd be on the bench for a year. I couldn't do anybody else's projects because I was in a deal. And I just said, I don't have any ideas. If you guys have, I'm not doing any more deals. I've had enough failed TV shows. Nobody wants my ideas. So if you guys have an idea and you're developing it, I can act. I'd love to be in it. So as I was walking out the door, I was talking to Peter Billingsley. I was like, I do kind of have this idea for an animated thing. And he almost yanked me back in the chair because they were looking to do it. And then they go, yeah, let's do it, man. We can. I go, they're just vignettes. He goes, no, that's like a show. So then they, I just started meeting people. And then that's when I got together with the great Mike Price from The Simpsons. And it became a show. And here we are all these years later. I mean, it took forever to sell the thing. I mean, I think I've been talking to those guys since 2010 or 2011. And the first season didn't come out until 2015. So it's just how it goes sometimes.
Does it feel good to like get it out there, get it off your chest? Do you feel like you have a good venting point for all this humor now that you've been saving up for all these years?
It wasn't like I needed to like vent about it. It was just more... I just like making people laugh. And when I got into the animated world and then also telling it serialized, which means one episode leads into the next, the whole Netflix style, I enjoy working with other people. I just like the whole thing because it's not really like this. It's not all my stories. And like Frank isn't my dad. He's just an amalgam of everybody's dad in the writer's room. So, and it's like I'm literally animating stories from my childhood. It's the tone. It's a little vignette that happened, but like, at this point, I mean, we're in the third season. So these characters, they take on a life of their own. And, I would actually say Sue, Frank's wife that Lauren Dern plays, is probably more like two of the other guys' moms in the room than my mom. My mom wasn't nearly as emotional as Sue is. But Frank is a lot like my dad in that if something happened, he would flip out. But, my dad didn't work at an airport, and all this other dreams of flying and all that. That's just the stuff that you make up, you know what I mean?
Right.
Do you ever listen back and get reminded of your father? Like, oh, that's exactly what he sounded like?
There's a couple little catchphrases in there that, like, I guess, if somebody says something, bullshit, that's him. I'll put you through that fucking wall was him. I can't really, I don't know. It all blurs together. But, a lot of it is Mike's dad. There's a guy, David Richardson. There's a lot of him in there. And then Emily Towers, who kills me. We lost her. She's now writing on Family Guy, which is another one of my favorite shows. So I thought that was pretty cool that Family Guy picked up one of our writers and lets me know they're doing something right over there because that show's awesome. There was a lot, like she was huge in the writer's room where there was like a lot of tone I felt came from her stories. She was someone that we met, and it was funny when we were picking writers. People, hey, talk about your childhood, and if it was nice, we were just like, all right, see you later. Like, yeah, this kid used to throw me down the stairs every day, and the teachers would laugh and they would do anything. I was like, all right,
you're in.
All right, write something to come in the room. So she knocked us out with her ideas and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's every once in a while I'll watch something. The example I always use is if the first season when little Bill is up in the tree and the big kids are throwing shit at him.
Yeah.
That happened to me. That happened to me and a friend of mine. We were just climbing a tree. Now, the kids didn't throw fireworks. That was the animated, exaggerated thing. But we were just climbing up this tree, and these big kids came along, saw us up there, and they just started throwing rocks at us until they got tired. And we were just up there hanging on like, crying.
Oh, my God.
Twisting in the trees and stuff. So, and there's actually a Dave Kushner story in there.
Oh, yeah?
Your guy's buddy. Yeah. Dave, one day I was out getting lunch with Dave, and Dave told me this. One of those stories that just makes you cry laughing. I don't know what it was, but it was the way he told it. It was basically, he had been partying back in the day when he was younger, He had done a gig at like the Coconut Teasers on Sunset, and he was really drunk. And after the gig, he was running across Sunset, and he had his amp and his guitar, and he lost his balance and he started flying through the air. And in his drunk mind, it was like save the gear. So he just put both his arms out like that to save the guitar and the amp, and literally just kissed the pavement and knocked out all of his teeth. So we put that in there. There's a time when Kevin, who wants to play music, sneaks out and Frank is running after him, and he runs and he trips and he does the face plant. What was funny was Kushner saw it because Dave does the music.
Yep.
He was watching. He goes, dude, is that from my story? I was like, I don't remember because you do so many rewrites you can't remember. And then I went, I'm like, yeah, that's it. And he got like he got a huge kick out of it. So that's a fun thing to do as far as putting stuff into the show where there's just this little. I mean, that is literally probably 3 seconds of animation.
Yeah.
But it's Dave's story, and Dave gets to watch that. And like, I just wish I was there when he watched it and when he saw him do the faceplant, him reliving what he did and be like, oh my God, he just did a Kushner.
That's so cool.
So there's a lot of elements like that. That's the fun part of the show.
You mentioned Michael Price, who is incredible, like you said, on The Simpsons, and all of your writers. You have such an incredible team of writers on this show. It sounds like you do like an old school writing room. Is it like that where you guys are all contributing and all just like kind of reworking and re-editing to make these episodes?
Well, it's the only writer's room I've ever been in. So the way that we do it, it's everybody is chiming in, and Mark Wilmore. We got a lot of we got a lot of really like just funny, strong voices in there. And it's one of those writers' rooms. Yeah, if you don't speak up, your shit's not getting in the script. Right. No one's gonna feel bad for you.
Right.
So, but I think a lot of writers' rooms are like that. But it's not like a toxic. I won't name the shows, but there's just shows that have reps out there where you're just like, that doesn't sound fun. Like, I got in this business to have fun. I know we're under the gun and there's pressure and that type of stuff, but there's no reason to just be like, mean to people, So, we definitely, we'll get into like heated discussions a few times, but like it never,
right.
Overall, do you enjoy?
I like to think I'm not a lunatic in the room where it's just like, I'll fight for something, but I got like 5 minutes of fight.
Oh,
all right, dude, I don't give a shit. It's a fucking cartoon. Put your thing. I don't care.
And on the other side of it, just speaking of voices, you have an incredible cast on this show. You mentioned Laura Dern and Sam Rockwell, and I mean that, after having some incredible writing, that really shines through with everybody doing that. How did the cast coalesce? Was that kind of the same kind of thing, getting the right people in
yeah,
place?
that goes. I swear to God, at some point I'm going to find the comfortable place where I can sit here. That goes to probably, I'd say, Vince Vaughn and Peter Billingsley, where, they both have a lot of clout and they had a lot of friends and, with big time credits. So how that works is you just got to get that one person to sign on to it. You get that one person with the name to sign on to it. All of a sudden you now have a script with so-and-so attached. And once you have so-and-so attached, somebody who previously would have said, no, I'm too busy, is all of a sudden, oh, this person's doing it? I want to work with that person. This must be good. And then that's how it works. So I forget who, right out of the gate, we got guys, we got like, Dave Koechner, and then Vince knew Justin Long, and then also knew Sam Rockwell. So right out of the gate, we had that nucleus. And then I just remember all of a sudden we were like talking to Laura Dern. I'm like, Laura Dern do this. And then she came back with a yes. I was like, oh my, and it made you feel good as a writer where you're just like, wow, man, because she is like the king of just picking the coolest projects ever. I mean, there's a thing out here where there's certain people that are so talented and they can't pick a good project to save their life. She is that rare person that is unbelievable performer, and then her instincts to stuff. That's something, I've been meaning to ask her. When we get in the booth, we're always, too busy on the script. But I have been meaning to ask her that, going like, what do you like when you're reading a script? Like, how do you just keep hitting these home runs? You know what I mean? Like, even like the shows that maybe don't. She had a show on Showtime or HBO. Nia, what was the name of that show? Do you remember? Enlightened.
Oh yeah.
That show never quite found an audience. That show was unbelievable. So like even the stuff that she does, that quote unquote, I guess that would be, I'm not saying it failed, but it just never quite caught on. That show was unbelievable. Some of the stuff that I've had that failed, which is 90% of my career, you watch it and you know why. It's horrific.
You mentioned being in the booth together. Do you guys record like an old time radio show? Do you record together, or is it separate?
Well, I mean, there's not like somebody in there making like the thunder and lightning sound. No, whenever we can, we try and I find a lot of the people that are more from the acting world want to be in the booth and be looking at somebody. Like Sam likes that. Justin Long is such when Justin does Kevin and he makes the face like, wasn't doing anything. He's so committed and he has this look on his face. I honestly, he's a guy I can't look at when the rare times, because he lives on the East Coast. So unfortunately I haven't been able to get in the booth this past season with him. Laura Dern likes to do it like that. Vince likes to do it like that. And, for someone like me, I was, coming as a stand-up comedian, it was intimidating to get in there with these people. And I was just like, all right, sink or swim or whatever. So I just committed to what I was doing. And after a while, you just realize, they're just going to be playing off what I'm doing. And, it's not going to be that stand-up comedy thing where if you're bombing, someone's going to yell, you suck. Like it's like the acting world is a lot more, I guess in that world it's healthier.
Yeah.
Did you do any voice acting before this?
Not really. I mean, there was a guy, his name escapes me.
Grand Theft Auto, though, right?
Grand Theft Auto. But that was one of those deals where we got hooked up because I was on the Opie and Anthony show. Right. He was friends with them. And so, I had a couple of guys like, hey, shut the fuck up. I mean, just had a couple of lines like that. It wasn't like I was one of the main characters. I was like, I think a biker in one of them. But it was just a fun guy that, when you go on a rampage and you want to run somebody over in a car, that was me.
So was it weird getting used to the booth and doing voiceover acting, and was that strange adapting to that?
It took 3 episodes, and I remember episode 1 we were recording, and David Richardson being in the booth, who's been in the business for a long time. I saw the look on his face after my first few takes. He was mentally sending his resume out. And by the third, and that's the thing, you got to block that out because he wasn't wrong, because I knew it wasn't happening. But by the 3rd episode, I had him dying laughing. So I was able to, it just took me a second to get comfortable. Then I said, now I found it. So I went back to 1 and 2, and then we re-recorded. But, a lot of those big time actors that we have on the show, though, they do the same thing. Like they go really, it was really interesting to watch how they did it. Like they just sort of like, hey, I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try this, and I'll try this. And it's just kind of like this big, like back and forth. And then it starts getting small, and then all of a sudden just, they have it. And whatever, 20 minutes later, 25 minutes later, all of a sudden they have it, and then all of their talent, and then it's an amazing thing to watch. But I hadn't seen it before, so the first time through watching one of these big actors do that, I was like, what's going on? I don't get. This is like all over the map, and I've watched it enough times. I still don't know how to do it. But I find all these really good actors, that's what they do. And they just keep saying the words and tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, that's a person,
Would you ever,
I don't know how to do that.
would you ever do that for like somebody else's project? Let's say like Finding Nemo 8 comes out and they want you to be Joey Jerk the fish face, You know what's
weird about this is like I do voices all the time in my stand-up act. and I do characters and shit. But when I get in the booth, I'm just sort of me, and it's just so I know it's there. I have to figure out how to like uncover it. So what I basically have to do, what you have to do, and everything to get better is you have to bomb. So what I'm going to have to do is just go in there and do what I saw them do. It's just like, let me just play with this, you know. Yeah. Might not even sound good, and people will be nervous in the booth. Like, what is this person doing? Just having confidence enough in your instrument to figure out what you.
Well, it does. It does sound a lot like recording vocal tracks of just like you don't know how you're going to attack this line of just like where you're going to have inflections and like how it's actually going to sound when you actually try the thing that you've been trying out on stage for like weeks and weeks and weeks. It could be totally different once you get there in the booth.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, I like nobody's calling me up to try and sing a few tracks, believe me.
Yeah, but they are calling you up to play drums, from what I hear.
Who's calling me to play? I mean, I've sat in with some people.
Yeah.
Sitting in with all these people I got to sit in with. It's just like they've already jammed with the zillion musicians.
Yeah.
And what I found, I didn't realize that musicians listen to so much comedy and watch stand-up specials on the road that it's cool for a goof for them to play Highway to Hell with that guy from Comedy Central or whatever. You know what I mean? So, but it's definitely been fun for me, man. You know.
Well, when we went out and talked with Dave, he was talking about how he surprised you at a show once, having you play drums, and did not tell you that he was going to bring Slash and Duff from Guns N' Roses on stage.
Yeah, no.
Until you actually were on stage with them. And we got his side of the story of that, of how he surprised you with that. But like, what was going through your head as, like you said, just, you know, a comedian just having a good time playing some drums, and literally Slash walks on stage? Like, how does that even translate?
Oh, well, to give people a backstory, I was going to play Highway to Hell. Dave's always doing benefits. You know, him and his wife are very, like, you know, they're just awesome people. So it was a benefit for this school, and it was way up in the Hollywood Hills, so high up you could see the valley and you could see, you know, like Hollywood, which was incredible.
Whoa.
So we're up there, and he goes, come up during the day, you know, we'll run the song. So we play Highway to Hell, you know, it's straightforward type of thing, no crazy fills. Phil Rudd, right?
Yeah.
So I sit down, we knock it out, and he goes, sound good? I say, yeah, you know, sounds good, man. That's how I'm going to play it. So that night I show up, and the real drummer, like, he plays with Blue Man Group, like, you know, reading charts. Like, this guy's a player.
Yeah.
He's in the business, right? So I'm going, all right, I'm probably going to go up like third, fourth song in. Let's get the jerk-off comedian out of the way. And I see I'm like third to last song. So that was the first point where I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I'm watching them play like The Who, and this guy on drums is doing all the Keith Moon shit. And he's crushing it. And I'm like, why are they having me go on after this? This doesn't make any sense. Is Dave like breaking my balls here? So finally, they play the song, finish the song before me, and I literally sneak up onto stage.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest going to sit in on drums, stand-up comedian. Please welcome Bill Burr. And I got like the golf clap, like nobody knows who I am. And whatever, playing drums, you can hide behind the cymbals and shit if I screw it up.
Yeah.
And as he's introing me, I see people are just walking off the stage. It was only the bass player and another guitar player, I believe, walked off. But in my world, it was like 10 people walked off stage. I was like, what's going on? And he goes, and we got another couple special guests. So immediately I'm thinking, like, wait, what's going on here? We didn't rehearse this, because I'm outside my comfort zone. Drums is a hobby, obviously. So he goes, please welcome from Guns N' Roses, Duff McKagan and Slash. And I was like, what the fuck? And I just saw him coming up. The only way to describe them, it was like two giant redwoods. They just looked, that's what I kept thinking. It was like giants. Like in my mind, and I was sitting down looking up at them. Duff is tall anyways, and I think Slash is a little bit taller than I am. And they looked gigantic to me. That's all I remember. And I'd met Duff once at the Comedy Store, and he's just like, hey man, how you doing? Shakes my hand. Slash shakes, and you don't understand like how big Guns N' Roses was to me. And Steven Adler was my favorite drummer of the 80s. Everybody had those giant fucking kits with the double kicks. Half of them didn't even have another pedal behind it. It was just for the look. Or they just played double bass when they had to do like the solo. He just ran underneath and played, on top. But these guys were the guys. Like, I was like the first guy in my group of friends that were like, you got to check out this band. Like, one of my big credits in my early adulthood was, dude, Burr was listening to these guys in '87, because it didn't come out until '88. And that was like, that was an IMDb credit for me.
Yes.
And I used to jam all the time in my parents' basement, and we used to play Highway to Hell. And we used to play Guns N' Roses stuff. We used to play Welcome to the Jungle. We played My Michelle, Mr. Brownstone, and all that. I remember one of my brothers would be standing here playing guitar. My other brother would be standing there playing bass. And we play Guns N' Roses and we play Highway to Hell. Now here I am, 30 years in the future, playing Highway to Hell that I used to play with my brothers. And instead of my brother John there, it's Duff. And instead of Philip, it's Slash.
Oh my God.
And then Kushner's there. So essentially you have the entire
Velvet Revolver,
right? And I'm Matt Sorum now. So this all goes through my head in like 0.8 seconds.
Right.
However long it takes someone to walk on stage, say hello, and then just Slash turns around and just goes, ba-na-na, da-na-na. Dude, I literally couldn't feel my legs. Da-na-na, 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 da-na-na. I'm like, what? It was nuts. And I just, one of my brothers told me, because I went a long time ago when I was sitting and he goes, dude, if you're ever in a situation like that, don't try to be fancy. Just go Phil Rudd. And thank God the song was played by Phil Rudd, so I didn't have to worry. Yeah. I just went Phil Rudd and played the song, screwed up a couple of times. I just remember in the end, Kushner and Frankie kept turning around. They just kept looking at my face, laughing at me. So the song ends, there's what it stops, Highway to Hell, and I'm going down all the way. And then they got to turn around and look at the drummer to start the cymbal wash. And that was the time when Duff and Slash all turned around and looked at me, and I was just like, oh my God, they're looking. I almost forgot what I was supposed to do. And then fortunately I got out of it. And then I got off stage, and then they played another two Guns N' Roses songs with the real drummer who crushed it. And I got off. I was walking away, and Duff came up to me, and he said, "Hey, man," he goes, "Slash really liked you playing." And I was like, "Get the fuck out of here, get out of here." I figured he knew I was a con, but he didn't know. He had no idea who I was. And he said, "Yeah, he liked your playing." So I was like, "Oh my God, it's the greatest night ever." I got to meet him. He was cool as shit. I said, "Hey, I'm actually a stand-up comic." And he laughed. He goes, "Well, you should play drums, man. You sounded good." So I am like at this point floating. So then I leave the venue because the show's over, and I do the most un-rock and roll thing ever. I get into a Prius and drive down the hill, literally screaming.
How do you fit your drums in a Prius, by the way?
Oh, they were like, I was sitting in somebody else's drum kit.
Oh, yeah, of course. Can't fit drums in a Prius.
Screaming like some little schoolgirl who got to see Elvis. And I went down to the Comedy Store, went out back because I was meeting my buddy Joe Bartnick to smoke a cigar. And I was telling them the story, and they were just all jaws on the ground. I remember when I walked in the Comedy Store, they're like, "Hey, Bill, you want to go on stage?" I was like, "No, I don't. No, I don't. I ain't going to top that." So I went in the back, and I smoked a cigar. And as I told them, Dave sent me some video of it, and they were all like blown away. It was like one of those nights you didn't want to end. So at 2 a.m, I get in my Prius, and I go to leave. I'm like, this is the greatest night ever. So I'm pulling out of the Comedy Store, and I had to stop because of traffic. And as I stop, I hear a knock on my window. And I look over, drop dead gorgeous woman. I'm like, this is just the greatest night ever. I'm going to roll down the window. She's going to be like, "Oh my God, I'm such a fan. I can't believe I missed you tonight, blah, blah." Dude, I roll the window down. She's hammered. She sticks her head like 3/4 of her body into the window. She just goes, "Are you Felipe, our Uber driver?" And I just laughed. I go, no. Then it registered. She's looking at my, Irish Mick face. I'm as far from a Felipe as possible. I go, "No, I'm not." She kind of laughed, and I laughed, and that was the moment. I turned back into a pumpkin, and then I drove home in my Prius, and that was it. That's the story.
The universe has a funny way of humbling us very quickly.
Very.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, speaking of on the comedy side of it, you just announced your European tour coming up in the start of the year. That's really exciting. Like, I was looking at your dates, like January through May, you're going to be all over Europe, which is really exciting. Have you done a lot of those places before, or is this all new territory for you?
Some of them I have. I've gone through Scandinavia. I've done before, and all the Nordic countries. And I learned that Scandinavia they're all part of the Nordic countries, but Scandinavia is Scandinavia, right? So I've been through all of those. I've done Germany, I've done Cologne, Germany before, and I've done the UK part of it. I've done, but all that Estonia, Latvia, Prague, Budapest, Berlin. I'm doing a place in Austria. It's not Vienna. It's someplace else. But I've never been there. But like I'm ridiculously excited to the point like I've quit drinking. I'm not smoking cigars. I'm going to get in crazy shape because this is going to the other side of the world. These people have never seen me. Like I'm going to give them a show, hopefully that they're going to remember, because I want to be able to come back someday with my wife and kid. And how cool it would be to do a sold out show in Austria, make a little bit of money, and then blow it in Vienna.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go down to Italy after that. I mean, like I got in this business to have fun. So, and I've become a big racing fan, like Formula One and MotoGP, and they have all kinds of races there. So in the future, I plan on booking, if I have good shows and the people want to come and see me again, I plan on, going back there and going to some races and taking my wife to some beautiful restaurants and letting my kids soak in everything that is over there that makes it so awesome.
That's awesome. And I got to ask, because we've talked to other comedians before that have toured Europe and different parts outside of America. Do you tailor comedy or maybe even your set differently for when you play outside of the States at all?
I tried doing that and it doesn't work.
That's what I've heard. Because
then you're kind of on your heels. Like, oh, they're going to get this? Okay, they got that. Now they're going to get this? You got to be, if I could give anybody any advice as far as doing stand-up, just act like you're here. Act like you're here. Talk how you talk. Use your slang. Use your local references. I don't give a shit. Because when they don't get it, just make fun of the fact that they don't get it. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I thought you'd get it. I'm an American. It all revolves around me. There's very easy ways to get out of it. But then you're comfortable. But it is weird, though, because I will tell you, like laughs sound different over there. Different accent, different sounds. Like in an audio way, it's like I'm sure when you listen to if you listen to a live album of a rock band, you can tell when they're not in America. Yeah. Like the crowd sounds differently. Like there's different, like those AC/DC ones, like If You Want Blood, like you can tell that's somewhere in Europe. I believe I actually looked that place up. That was in Glasgow. Which he actually says in the Jack. Any virgins in Glasgow? Yeah. Glasgow, I think he does. But anyway, so that's one of those things where it takes a minute once you're over there to just get into overseas mode.
Yeah.
And like plow ahead. I saw Guns N' Roses for the first time ever live. I actually just saw them when I happened to be in France when they were there, and I took my wife to go see them, and I noticed that about them. Like they weren't, Slash wasn't, Axl wasn't trying to say all this French shit.
Right.
He was just talking to him, and he was being Axl, and they were being Guns N' Roses, and it was amazing.
I that's a real smart way to go about, comedy, music, anything. I'm just always curious from a comedian standpoint, especially, touring the world, and you're constantly working on material. Like, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, like, how much do you edit when you're on the road? Your last special, which was incredible, by the way, on Netflix, one of my favorite bits is at the end there with the gorilla. And you say in the special how, before you taped that special, you always were killing the gorilla and it was bombing, and then you changed that bit. How long where does that hit you where you're like, okay, I got to change a bit instead of just plowing ahead and being like, if you don't get it, you're going to make fun of them for not getting it kind of thing.
Yeah, something what sucks about that was I did a gig at Madison Square Garden in 2015, and I did the bit, and I was recording it to do a double album, and the audio got screwed up. They didn't understand I want to make an album. They took the audio right out of the board.
Oh.
So it's me sounding like I'm in front of 15,000 people, freaking out, being excited, and it sounds like there's 8 people there.
Right.
But what kills me is that night the gorilla dies in the joke. So if someone was a huge fan of mine, they could watch the special and buy the album, and they would have seen how it changed. And then, and that's like the type of stuff like, I'm a huge music fan, and I can't get enough behind the scenes of how the whole thing comes together. So I just got sick of the crowd won after a while. It's like, all right, you want the fucking thing to live, it lives. And I figured out a way that where it could still be a little bit dark or whatever. But the funny thing about that special is my pants, because my wife was 8 and tailored, and I didn't really notice. I mean, they're like, for a guy who's like 6'5", but because I'm wearing the cowboy boots and shit, it kind of looks like that's the look. But the reality is my wife was getting ready to give birth to our daughter, so she didn't have time to look at what I was going to wear when I went on stage.
It just adds to the ambiance.
Yeah. Yep.
I won't be able to not see that now. I can't even hear the jokes. I'm just staring at his pants.
Well, fortunately, the thing isn't shot at my pants. You know what I mean? It's shot at my pants.
It should be special features, just your pants.
Right.
This gets us to the question we ask every guest on our show. Through everything that you do, through F is for Family, through touring the world, through constantly doing these incredible comedy specials and albums, what fuels you to keep doing it? You've been working hard.
My mortgage.
That's it.
This is the thing. You think you're going to make all this money and you're going to get off the wheel. They won't let you get off the wheel.
It's
like
true.
they'll let you do it if you want to go buy a pickup truck and put the camper on the back. They'll let you do that, and then they're just going to take everything you make. So it's like, no, I'm kidding. What? Because I love it. I don't have to get motivated to do it. I love it. I am lucky enough, to do what I love to do. So I'm constantly trying to get better at it, and just trying to see, one of my motivations is how far up the all-time ladder I can get, knowing that the top 25, 30 are solidified, despite anybody's list out there.
Right.
The top 30 are the people that basically invented the art form. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them get overlooked. And, it's always so stupid. Like, whenever they make these dumb lists, they'll stick somebody like so goddamn high up the list from this era. And, they got like 3 specials. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, your 3 specials are better than this person who changed the game. Their entire body of work couldn't hold up to your 3 specials. Get the fuck out of here. So that's why I don't, there's the list and then there's the real list. So I'm trying to go up the real list.
Do you have any motivations to, like, quote, change the game? Do you have any, I don't know, I guess.
I lack that talent. I am a ham and egger. I am just past the baton, and I'm going to do what you've already seen done in my own way, hopefully. But, like, I am not like an Andy Kaufman or, I don't have, like, I just want to entertain a crowd. I don't want to freak them out.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow their minds like, what the fuck is this? I just like, the bottom line is all these different genres of music. The bottom line is if somebody picks up a guitar and they have a great tone and they are really emotionally connected to the instrument and they can speak through it and they have something to say, I mean, you can, like, that's always going to be entertaining. But, I'll leave the changing the game thing to somebody who can see around the corners, because I don't have that ability.
Well, you've been working hard, throughout your entire career, and you came
You've
up.
been trying, Bill, and we appreciate
No,
the
no, I mean, you came up in the '90s when stand-up was a different beast than it is today, and
Yep.
you touched on it a little bit earlier. Do you have any advice for aspiring comedians that are trying to break into the business now?
Or all of this chatter on social media and all of this, I might get in trouble and all of that. It's like, you don't have to explain yourself as a comedian if you're joking around. You're telling jokes. And I actually think that this is the time to push further rather than pull back, because you're going to allow a bunch of people who aren't funny. Sorry, I smoked a cigar last night, voice cracking. You're going to allow a bunch of people who aren't funny to dictate the direction stand-up comedy should go in. That's no different than somebody who's tone deaf telling people what chords they should use, what type. It's absolutely asinine. But the people who are complaining understand the game, and the game is always money. They always go after the money, and corporations will not allow one nickel to roll out the door, which is why when you watch the NFL, they understood what Colin Kaepernick was doing, and they respected it until the racist part of their fan base said they weren't going to buy tickets or jerseys, and then all of a sudden nobody could do it anymore. And it's just, you have to plow through that. And as a comedian, you are an independent contractor, and a lot of these people that are social justice warriors are also incredibly closed-minded, and they're bullies. And you can't allow them. They can say whatever they want to say about your act, and they're welcome to not like it. They're welcome to come to my show and heckle me. I don't give a shit, but I'm not going to change what I'm saying because I know the intent. That's the thing. People will start telling you what you meant, and you're like, oh, that's not what I meant. It's like, no, you did mean it that way. Same thing happened to Kaepernick. Kaepernick was protesting police brutality, and all of a sudden people are talking about Afghanistan and Iraq. It's like, that's not what he's talking about. And people hijacked his argument, and that vice president went there deliberately to walk out. You could hear his jet plane running in the background. He knew exactly what he was going to do. Acted like he was surprised, and then walked out. The fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Fuck all of those people, man.
Yeah.
Fuck all. They're just all. They got their face in a pig trough of money, and they're all acting like they're making these statements, and they're not. They're all serving the same thing that we're all. And I don't think everybody in the corporate world is evil. I think a lot of people that work for corporations wish they operated differently. And I don't have a solution on how to try to fix the mindset of those companies, but they are doing way more harm than good. And that is a long form way of saying that I'm going to continue to do my shit and dick jokes the way I want to.
Good. And I think I agree with you that I think that, comedy as a whole has, it toes that line of way too PC culture now. And I am so happy that there are people like you that are working in the industry who aren't going to take that shit and are going to keep pushing through that and are going to keep telling the jokes that need to be told and say the things that you want to fucking say.
You're a redheaded male, so like I'm not falling from some, I'm me fucking up my career would be just me rolling off a curb. You know what I mean? I might hurt my elbow, but I'll be fine. It's not like I'm some, I understand performers who are like way further than I am, who have movie careers and all of this shit where they're like, I don't need that headache. But the weird thing is everybody's waiting for it to die down. And it's like, shit like this doesn't die down. Shit like this has to be confronted in a respectful way, Yeah. You don't have to call people assholes or anything like that. But like, my respectful way of doing it is not adjusting my act.
And that's awesome.
Do you think you expect it to get worse, or do you think it'll start to turn around soon?
Who knows? I don't think, look, everything that's changing, it's not all for, the worse. You know what I mean? Sure. It's not like every social issue is bullshit. And like, there are people that just, they hang PC on everything. And it's just like, no, police brutality is a thing, like, I think like, I think we're going to sort through it, and we're going to get to a point where people can listen to a comedian again and say, listen, this is just a comedian. This is not somebody presenting legislation that's going to affect somebody's life. It's just a stupid comedy show. But like, I don't think everything is bad about it, but it's definitely, a lot of shit that was suppressed, and then the cork flew off the bottle. And I think, when the stuff comes down and settles a little bit, I believe in people, man. I think we're going to come to a point where people can go to a comedy show and people are not going to act like Hitler didn't really die and he's getting his friends together again, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, at the end here, I can't thank you enough for talking with us. We talked about how F is for Family Season 3 is coming out November 30th on Netflix. Your European tour kicks off in January. Is there anything else that's coming up that you'd like to plug?
Front Runner. Yeah, I'm in a movie called The Front Runner with Hugh Jackman.
Ooh.
And directed by Jason Reitman. And it's the Gary Hart story. And
awesome.
it's one of the best films I've ever gotten to be a part of, and the way Jason shot it, and of course spacing on every other friggin' actor's name in it. Everybody was amazing, and I'm just happy to be a small part of it. But that's in theaters right now if you'd like to go check it out.
Excellent. Oh, and I actually did think of something. I heard you talk about it recently on one of your recent podcasts. You are doing the Patrice O'Neill benefit, right? Coming up?
Yes. February 19th, 2019. 2/19/19.
Nice.
And we got
so many big names on that.
Lineup. We got Gaffigan, we got Big J, Michelle Wolf, Rich Voss hosted as always. I'll be there.
Yes.
If anybody cares. Cypher Sounds, Chris Red. I'm trying to remember everybody's name. We got a lot of people. It's going to be awesome.
I'll put up all the info in our show about that as well. Finally, what is the best way for our listeners and fans to become fans of yours and follow you? Do you social media at all? Is it your website would be the best way?
Best way to become a fan of mine: stop reading.
Done.
Dumb it down.
Check.
Dumb it the fuck down.
Got it.
And it will make sense. And they got the internet. Just Google my name. I got a podcast, Monday Morning Podcast. I do stand-up dates. I got F is for Family. I have my little store in the giant mall out here. You know, stop by, buy some candles or whatever. The Office Comedy Network, podcast network. We just produced a special with Paul Verzi that absolutely crushed it and is doing great. And we got some more coming up. We're doing one with Jessica Curson, and we're doing one with Ian Edwards.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And he's on Comedy Central.
Awesome.
Hey, man, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk with us. And thank Dave for hooking this up.
Yeah.
And,
was I
awesome.
above this? I'm trying to learn how to say no to shit. I didn't know that. I thought now you guys are being all humble. I'm fucking with you, man. Anytime.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. Any friend of Dave Kushner's a friend of mine.
Great,
Awesome.
man.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Okay, guys. See you. Thank you.
Cheers.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.